Hey, friends. Welcome to Dr. J Vibes, another homeopathic episode. We are talking on miasms for last few weeks. The first week was Sora, a functional disturbance, not much structural damage, but functional changes in skin, rash, itch, eruptions, digestive disturbances, respiratory disturbances, right? Only functional. Psoric miasm, first one. Then second one last week, psychotic miasm, a miasm of excess, everything excess, functional excess, right? Structural excess, like growth on the skin, like warts, polyps, fibroids, right? The growth, overgrowth, miasm, psychotic. Now this week, I would like to talk just a little bit about another miasm called syphilis. It is a chronic destruction miasm. Destruction, everything is a destruction. You see through physical being, through emotional being and psychological entity, you will see destruction all over. So what is the purpose of doing these videos again? Not to diagnose, treat, cure or any individual. This is only awareness purposes only, to give some awareness, because when you consult a homeopathic physician, a homeopath, having this understanding, just a little bit idea, helps you to relate your problem well to a homeopath, so that they can help you best possible way. This is not to self-diagnose, not to self-medicate or anything, right? Or neither me giving any advice over this video, not at all. That's beyond the scope of these videos. Okay, my friends? So syphilis, miasm, right? Syphilitic miasm. This is a chronic destruction miasm. You see, everything is a destruction here, as I just mentioned a little earlier, right? It has predisposition towards destruction. A chronic reaction mode, all these miasms are called chronic reaction modes, right? Sora, psychosis, syphilis. There are few more, but these three are the original miasms named and discovered and expanded by the founder of homeopathic system of medicine, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann. So we are basically touching base with these three miasms at this moment. And this, the third one, is a reaction mode of destruction, destructive miasm. So the core action here is destruction, right? So when the destruction is taking place in our body, you will see the things like atrophy, deformity, right? Tissue damage, degeneration, those sort of terminology you hear from your consulting physician, homeopath, laboratory diagnosis, right? Healthcare practitioners. So we have to use some medical terminology here. The idea is you don't need to have expanded understanding or anything about them, but idea is to be aware of when these words are used, right? You hear them, right? This sort of thing. Hey, there is some atrophy going on, there is some degeneration going on, whatever. We all hear. Nowadays, medical terminology is everyone's knowledge, right? In this vast digital world. So when you hear them, you can have some understanding of which side of miasms out of Sora, psychosis and syphilis, you are going towards, you have predisposition to, you have the tendency, you have some idea. So when you are relating with your homeopathy, a doctor, you will be able to better recollect them and describe them, and as well as you will know what is happening in your treatment plan, what they are working with, right? That helps. We all would like to know some insights, right? Hey, what am I getting? Why am I getting this? Or whatever. So this understanding helps. Now that is the only idea of me doing these videos, right? A slight awareness and a bit of education, right? So when someone has a tendency for syphilitic miasm, which is a chronic destruction mode of chronic reaction, right? They hear words like necrosis, thrombosis, inflammation, gangrene, right? I mean, you hear sometimes often there is some gangrene going on, it's difficult to handle, right? Now, those sort of, also, when you have this awareness, you get to know a little bit about the scope of homeopathic system of medicine, what is possible, right? Again, but these are only tendencies we are discussing, which helps to not exactly same problem, but could be anything. When your body tendency is identified, you are going through syphilitic miasm or psychotic miasm or at psoric level. When the tendency is identified, that helps to address whatever other problems you have, not necessarily what we are discussing here, but could be this is just recognizing your body and your whole emotional, psychological mind sphere to understand, and so that we can address any other issues. But this information gives some understanding of scope of the system of medicine as well, right? So this is a chronic destructive miasm, right? Destruction everywhere. So you see things like caries, cavities, maybe in your dental structures, or could be anywhere, small bones or larger bones, right? You could see cavities because it is a destruction tendency in the body, right? It need not be general like a location, one location, right? If you have that tendency, it can go from organ to organ, location to location. It could go anywhere, right? So that is the tendency. Okay? So you see things like caries, cavities, ulcerations, right? Particularly ulcers with raised borders. Raised, the border has been raised. If your x-ray is taken or a ultrasound or whatever, right? Your doctor identifies these raised borders with ulcerations. Cankers. Again, this terminology we have to use here in this miasm, but it's only for awareness purposes. When these are mentioned by your practitioners, healthcare team, gives us some idea of what sort of body tendency for homeopathic healing purposes. So it is a syphilitic tendency, right? Destruction of organs, everything destruction, right? In syphilis, everything is destruction. So you see organs, destruction of organs, destruction of, for example, nasal cartilages. We have cartilages here, right? Nozzle in the nose, right? You see the destruction there. So when that happens, you will see a saddle nose, you call it saddle, like saddle, right? Saddle sort of nose. I remember particularly one gentleman with that structure, right? I still remember. So that sort of destruction everywhere, particularly bones as well as the tissues, right? So ulceration of palate, the palate is the top of your roof of your oral cavity, mouth. The palate, it's a bone. So you see ulceration there, and you see cleft palate, cleft lip. You see these often in the society, right? Someone is having lip, cleft lip and palate. Now these are again homeopathy, not necessarily this is not about fixing that problem, but identifying the miasm running through the person so that it helps to address other problems, right? Cleft lip, palate, these are surgical cases, right? It's not within the scope of homeopathy. But identifying these things gives the tendency of the person. You identify the tendencies of person, okay, syphilitic miasm is running through. By knowing that, whatever other problems they have, to address those problems homeopathic way, now identifying this stuff helps. So again, destruction, degeneration, that kind of stuff, right? Through syphilitic miasm. So you see suppurations, means the pus formation, right? End stage of degenerative diseases, later stages like sclerosis, arteriosclerosis. Again, these are the only just terms. When you are aware, you don't need to know all the details of medical everything, right? That's not the purpose or scope of these videos. But when we are having this understanding, it gives some idea, okay, syphilitic miasm is running through, and okay, this is how my treatment plan is developing when you are having homeopathic help, right? So in general, so syphilitis is chronic destructive predisposition, a reaction mode, right? With destruction all over the body, the changes in the bone structures, tissue damages, blood vessels, right? You see things like thrombosis, that sort of stuff, inflammation, gangrenes, right? Ulceration, very important aspect of syphilitic miasm. You see ulcers everywhere in cavities, oral cavity, gastrointestinal cavity, or it could be there, could be on your skin, right? Ulcers, particularly with raised borders, thick raised borders, ulcers, right? But again, usually syphilitic miasm, they may have not necessarily the same person, but could be ancestral, their parental, grandparental, even much longer generations, probably they may have syphilis. They had gone through syphilis and its a treatment, right? That's the idea. But it creates a tendency that has been healed, but it creates a tendency called syphilitic miasm, and it runs through families and generations, and giving rise to this sort of destructive happenings within the body and emotions and mind. We are coming there to emotions and mind right now. So destruction throughout the body, right? Body, mind, emotions. That's what we see everywhere, destructive mode. So destructive ideas, attitudes, despair, anger, irritability, hatred, rage, Violence. What happens when there is rage and violence? It leads towards destruction, right? Not necessarily just physical destruction. It could be somebody with running through this tendency because of all these mental mind disturbances. They might be right damaging something outside in the environment, right? They may be throwing something at somewhere, right? So that you see it runs through everywhere, not only physical but mind and emotions. All these ideas you are developing, attitudes, right? Some kind of irritability, anger, right? Violence in your mind that manifests outside in the world, right? We say this often, right? Our inner thing manifests outer, inside out world we are living in this world, right? So all destructive complexes, plotting, scheming, manipulation, intellectual destruction, so these sort of things we see if syphilitic miasm is running through the person or family or a group of people. That's what we witness. So there is intellectual destruction, right? The damage loses the thread of conversations, issues with memory, right? It's a destruction running through everything, through mind, emotions, right? Frightful, violent, distressing dreams. Even the dreams, they are so frightful. You wake up suddenly with frightful dreams because you are witnessing, watching that destruction. Something is happening outside in the world around you or within you. Something is happening. You have a feeling. You wake up frightened, right? Now that's a tendency of syphilitic miasm as per homeopathic approach, methodology, right? Cries out in a dream. Maybe children, they can't express, they can't tell you, wake up and tell you what they saw in the dream. So they cry because they have been frightened in the dream, right? Deep depression, hopelessness, deep melancholia. So they are very depressed. They are distracting. In their own mind, destruction is happening because of that, right? Then it may lead towards even extremes like suicidal tendencies, homicidal. You are committing that on other people, right? Inner struggles. You are going through all these challenges, emotions, thought processes because of this destructive feelings, emotions, ideas took over your mind, right? Now that is the syphilitic miasm. So what does it help by knowing all this? It may help to ameliorate their mind to some extent, right? The scope is there. That is the scope of homeopathy. But more importantly, by noting down this tendency, we will be able to help some other issues, challenges with physical health, mind health, psychological, emotional health, right? So we can address. Now this is the scope of homeopathy. Particularly with this mind and emotions, we all can relate with them. Unlike physical conditions, right? This can be easily understood. So this is the tendency of psychotic miasm when running through our mind and emotions. So let's look at some modalities when a person is running through syphilitic miasm. Modalities mean what increases what it increases. It could be any problem. It could be physical problem, psychological problem, emotional problem, right? Particularly with syphilitic miasm, things aggravate at night time. Night is the worst time for a person running syphilitic miasm. When I meant running, these are not fixed miasms, they are transitory. From syphilitic, they can go into psychotic and go back to soric, particularly when you are dealing with medicines, homeopathic medicines, or other help, psychological help or emotional help, right, through various modalities. Then what happens, as they are helping, now our tendencies may change from one miasm to other miasm. It may come back, it may reverse, right? So all things aggravate in the night time, in the dark, with severe pains, lightening pains in the night time, right? That's why they call them lightening pains. In the night they are coming, they are so sharp and like as if like a light is going through you, painfully piercing, right? Now that's the nature of syphilitic tendency as per homeopathic approach. So in general, the pains aggravate in the night, all problems aggravate in the night, sleep disturbances you see a lot when syphilitic miasm is running through. Darkness is the worst thing for a syphilitic tendency person, individual, right? Again, friends, this is not to self-diagnose, okay? This is only awareness and educational purposes. So winters, not a great time for syphilitic miasm. And contradictorily, usually when things aggravate in the night, right, darkness, winters, particularly when things are aggravating in the winters, you don't expect this particular symptom. Warmth. So if you are warm and nice and cozy and hot, it increases the problem. That's the contradictory side of this miasm, right? And it's very strange and striking. Remember, we went through strange, striking, uncommon symptoms. They help a lot in selection of homeopathic medicines. So this is one of them. So warmth aggravates, and cold applications, even though winter aggravates the syphilitic problems, miasmatic problems, but cold application actually helps the individual. So just a little bit about modalities. Let's have a look at a few medicines again, friends. Please this is not for self treatment or diagnosis or anything. But these are to give some idea. Medicines like Merxol, Syphilinum, which is a nosode. We will go into what are nosodes. We will go into the sort of discussions in the future videos. It is a nosode. Aurum metallicum, Kali iode. You see destruction a lot running through these medicines, right? When they are prepared homeopathically, administered to a healthy individual, they start actually producing this syphilitic miasmatic changes. It may lead to destruction of various spheres of a person, from physical, intellectual, psychological, emotional. You see destruction within. That's the core of syphilitic miasm, right? Calcarea fluor, nitric acid, fluoric acid, acid fluor. Now these are just a few names. There are many homeopathics which fall under this category. So friends, that's just a little bit idea about syphilitic miasm. I hope it is not too much medical, but that's how it is, this particular subject today. But it's only to give some awareness, develop some awareness, so that when you hear this sort of terminology, or when you realize yourself, some family member or anyone, could be some our acquaintances or anyone, to have some idea. So when you particularly yourself or your family member or yourself, when you are approaching a homeopath, you know what they look for, these tendencies, right? Syphilitic miasm, psychotic miasm, psoric miasm, those are tendencies they are looking for. So you having some awareness, understanding is helping already in relating your condition to your practitioners, so that they will help you best way possible. That's the whole idea of these discussing on these videos, any homeopathic topic, and also these modalities we discussed over last 2-3 weeks. Friends, if you really see some value in these videos, if you are still watching, I'm sure you like these videos, right? Please subscribe to this channel and help me develop this channel, because we all need subscriptions on YouTube channel to stabilize our account, to make our account permanent, right? So please help me by subscribing. Just click on subscribe button, that's all, one click, okay? It won't cost anything. It's free. Just a subscribe, and me shows your support for the content creator. YouTube identifies, okay, this guy got some support, we see he got subscribers, they are increasing, right? So that helps them to stabilize our account. So please subscribe right now if you haven't already, okay? And support me by liking, sharing, share it to friends, a few friends, relations, right? Please share it. And comment, say something about this video, this particular topic, right? Say whichever language, it doesn't matter, okay? So say something underneath this video, okay, my friends? We will connect again with the inspirational videos next week. Let's keep going, my friends. Let's develop this channel. With your help, together, we will do it. Have a beautiful weekend. Enjoy your Sunday if you are on this part of the world. On my side or other side of the world, it's still Saturday. You win again. You got one more day, right? Have a great time, my friends. We will catch up again with the inspirational video early next week. Bye for now.